Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to go over my initial thoughts on Shadowbringer's Monk, how it feels, what I like and don't like, and some proposed changes. Without wasting any time, let's get right into it. First, I will start off with the good. Number 1, it's fast. Grease Lightning 4 easily makes Monk the fastest job in the game. When meeting minimum skill speed requirements, your GCD should be around 1.93 seconds or less, with the sweet spot being 1.92 with around 1279 skill speed for more breathing room. You could go even lower, but you would potentially lose some crit in doing so. But it also depends on gear itemization in the future, such as, for example, if the raid gear has a lot of crit skill speed as its base stats. This GCD speed allows you to do 2 true strikes before refreshing Twin Snakes, even though the Twin Snakes buff would not affect the Twin Snakes GCD itself upon reapplication. It is an overall DPS gain since you're doing about 50% more true strikes compared to the standard rotation. And it also allows you to fit 6 GCDs under Perfect Balance and 10 GCDs under Riddle of Fire. Speaking of Riddle of Fire, its slowdown is a lot less painful as it was in Stormblood, due to Grease Lightning 4 mitigating a decent chunk of the 15% weapon skill speed reduction. With 1.92 seconds GCD outside Riddle of Fire, you should be in around maybe 2.21 seconds in Riddle of Fire, making it feel more like Crit Sam back in Stormblood, but just a little bit slower than Ninja with Huton and minimal skill speed. Number 2, it hits really hard. Leaden Boot Shine's 300 potency with auto crit under Oppo form, and Forbidden Chakra's 370 potency hits for some really high numbers, with my maximum numbers achieved at item level 434 being about 45k and 51k respectively. On average, I pull off about 11 to 12k DPS on a single target, even more so with a dancer's help. Producing more Leaden Boot Shines with Perfect Balance is also a really fun burst window to perform. Number 3, it has excellent AoE. We may have lost Howling Fist and Elixir Field got nerfed by 20 potency, but we also have an actual AoE GCD rotation now that is infinite since TP doesn't exist anymore. And Enlightenment, our new AoE Chakra Spender, has no fall off and hits extremely hard under all your buffs and Grease Lightning, with me hitting about 30k Enlightenment at one point at 434, which is really high for a skill you can potentially spam. You will also get a lot of Chakra on average, especially with Brotherhood active during AoE, so if you're lucky with procs, you could be shooting out 5 or more of these things in a big pool. Number 4, decent utility. Brotherhood is unchanged from 5% physical damage, so unfortunately it does not affect magic users, but it's still a pretty decent buff to have in a standard comp of 2 tanks, 2 melee, 1 physical ranged, or a newer comp that's arising in Shadowbringers, 2 tanks, 1 melee, which would be yourself, and 2 physical ranged attackers. After Battle Litany's nerf to 10%, it's more competitive as a raid buff, as you would use 2 Brotherhoods before 1 Litany even goes off. Mantra, however, got a significant buff, as it now affects all types of healing, and that includes OGCD heals like Indomitability, Size, and even Fairy heals. It will be significantly more useful for healers now since good healers want to use as little GCD healing as possible. Number 5, an excellent dance partner. Dancer looks very compelling due to the insane amount of utility it brings and its fun playstyle, so you will be seeing a lot of them. Luckily, Monk plus Dancer is an extremely strong combination, as the permanent 5% damage buff helps Monk pull off some crazy numbers, and the crit direct hit buff, Devilment, synergizes perfectly with Monk's toolkit. The Dancer also gains a lot of Esprit for their nuke due to Monk's super low GCD. And number 6, Riddle of Earth not requiring Fist of Earth. This may sound minor, but Riddle of Earth not requiring Fist of Earth to use effectively makes it more of a mitigation tool now. Depending on fight design, you could get through just fine with the use of an Atman and Sixsided Star for Grease Lightning maintenance, which allows you to use Riddle of Earth to proc Earth's Reply for the 10% damage reduction buff for 30 seconds, instead of the Grease Lightning refresh. 30 seconds is a lot of time for such strong mitigation, and will reduce the damage of a lot of incoming mechanics over its activation period, especially if the damage is rapid, like most enraged mechanics, examples being J-Wave from A8S, or at the end of O4S Neo X-Death, where he just punches the ground rapidly. Stuff like that. Riddle of Earth will probably shine very much so over there. Now we get to the bad. Number 1, Anatman. Anatman is a channeled ability, like Sam's Meditate, that holds the Grease Lightning timer, refreshes it to maximum, and gradually builds Grease Lightning stacks even from 0 while in combat. It's a decent ability when you use it at the correct times in battle. However, I have 2 major gripes with it. The way it grants Grease Lightning is extremely inconsistent due to it being tied to server ticks. Without special third-party tools telling you when server ticks will happen, it is a complete dice roll for when you actually get your stacks. It is also used in the opener to grant Grease Lightning 2, so you will have situations where you time it perfectly and get your Grease Lightning stack instantly while your GCD is rolling, which feels amazing, or you just miss the server tick and you stand there for 3 to 4 seconds like an idiot waiting for Grease Lightning to be granted. Having said all this, it is still a DPS gain to wait for that Grease Lightning 2 stack, even if you have bad luck, as it allows you to save perfect balance to produce more letter boot shines in your buff window. The second gripe is that it does not refresh your Grease Lightning timer outside battle. For dungeons, this is a pain, especially since there's an abundance of super long corridors and super slow tanks that will make you drop stacks all the time. It's a big crap. Number 2, Chakra Creep Reliance. Monk is now the only job in the game that has some of its toolkit tied to a statistic, in this case, crit. This is extremely odd, considering that in the very same expansion, Bard has had its crit reliance removed. To make matters worse, internal release is gone, which means less crit rate overall. The buff to deep meditation from 50 to 70% chance to get a chakra per critical hit alleviates this somewhat, but it's still not enough in my opinion. Number 3, Sixsided Star being a GCD. Sixsided Star is a GCD attack with an extremely high potency of 400 that refreshes your Grease Lightning timer to maximum, but doubles your current GCD time. For example, if you have a 2 seconds GCD and use Sixsided Star, you will have a GCD of 4 seconds before the next GCD is used. This skill is actually wonderful for downtime, as it doesn't consume stacks like Tornado Kick, does a very high damage, and allows you to have max Grease Lightning time before any downtime phase if you know the fight well. The problem, however, is that because it is a GCD, you can get into situations where your GCD is almost done rolling, but then the boss leaves or the ad dies and you miss executing it. That can really screw you over depending on how long the downtime is, and if you have an Atman available or not. Number 4, Tornado Kick. Speaking of Tornado Kick, it's kinda useless once again, probably about as useful as it was back in Heavensward. The only time you would use it is after Sixsided Star, and if the downtime is long enough for you to channel from Grease Lightning 0 to 3 or 4 with an Atman, or as a final attack before the boss dies. There are too many requirements just for the skill. Now here are my proposed changes. Luckily they don't require any massive reworks or anything of that sort, just simple tweaks that will go a long way. If Square Enix wants to go even further than this, I am not going to complain, but for now, this is what I want fixed. 1. Give a Natman a cast bar and let it grant Grease Lightning every 1.5 seconds. This will help with consistency. And let it only refresh the Grease Lightning timer outside battle. Not granting Grease Light in outside battle is fine. So at least you can extend your timer during long phases of downtime. This is mainly just for dungeons. This would be extremely helpful in dungeons where, for example, you're running in a long corridor, and then you have 2 seconds left on your Grease Light time, and then the tank is nowhere to be found. You could just pop a Nap Man, refresh it back up to 16 seconds, and you're good to go. Something like that. 2. Remove the crypt lines on Chakra generation. Let Chakra have a chance to generate per GCD used. This will allow monks to have the options with itemization and even become the fastest thing alive with max skill speed melt if they want to. 3. Make Sixsided Star an off global cooldown. This will allow you to refresh whenever you need to without potentially being cucked by your GCD. I swear, this has screwed me over so many times, it's really starting to piss me off. Lastly, just make Tornado Kick a normal off global cooldown at this point. Give it a 90 to 120 second cooldown, buff its potency up to 500 or something. Just make it like Monk's new nuke. Because at this point, I don't know what the hell they want with this skill. Like, now that Sixsided Star has been introduced, you'll never use this. Like, why would you use Tornado Kick for downtime by trading all 4 of your Grease Lightning stacks when you can just use another skill that hits for 30 potency less, which is pretty negligible all things considered, and it refreshes your Grease Lightning time. It's just like Sixsided Star is a better Tornado Kick in almost every situation. The only thing is that Tornado Kick does a little bit more damage. So yeah, just making an off global cooldown that we can just use in rotation. Everybody loves the way Tornado Kick looks. It's a cool looking skill. Monk is also kind of lacking in OGCDs and Shadowbringers at this point anyway. Just do it. Overall, I do like Monk a lot. I really do. I'm actually kind of surprised by this because before the expansion even came out, I was afraid I would absolutely hate it. But after playing it in level 80 content, beating both extreme primals with it, doing all the 3 level 80 dungeons, I'm having a ton of fun, not gonna lie. I also say that the changes are pretty controversial, since the way Monk functions now has effectively killed the Tornado Kick rotation that a lot of people liked from 4.2 onwards, and overall complexity has been reduced since the focus of Monk now is to even more so try and keep your stacks indefinitely in a fight, instead of performing a highly technical rotation. If you're someone who loved the Tornado Kick rotation, you probably won't enjoy the way the job is now. But at least just give it a shot, right? You know, there's no harm. If you don't like Monk, there's 16 other jobs in the game for you to play, right? But at least just give it a shot. If you made it this far, then I thank you for watching through all of this, because it's a pretty long video. So yeah, let's not make it any longer. I'm gonna end it off here. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.